נין אחותו של ראול ולנברג, נציג המשפחה כאן נגנו, בבקשה, פליז. מיסטר מיכאל וורנסטט.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here. I've spoken about my great uncle, Raoul Wallenberg, many times, but being here feels very, very special in Israel and especially in Yad Vashem. So, I was lucky. I was born in safe and peaceful Sweden long after the war. But my family had wounds that had not healed as I grew up. My grandmother's beloved brother had disappeared, and for decades, we were alone in our struggle to find out the truth about what happened to Raoul. This influenced us all, and despite being disappeared, Raoul played a very central part in all of our lives. As a child, I heard endless stories of his great achievements, and I nervously wondered to myself, would I have a strong moral compass as he did? Would I be able to distinguish good from evil as clearly as he did? And perhaps most importantly, if I did, would I be willing to sacrifice my comfort, in his case, safety and well-being, to help others? These are hard questions, and it's obvious that most of us do not say yes when faced with them. And this is really why we must honor and remember Raoul Wallenberg. This is why we should have this Raoul Wallenberg year and celebrate him, to inspire us not to be indifferent, but to make a difference. Raoul did not hesitate when he got the opportunity to go to Budapest. He immediately took the mission on two conditions: that he would be able to see anyone he wanted, and that he would be able to use any method he deemed necessary. And he was really no ordinary diplomat. He went way outside the box to rescue as many people as possible. We heard Per Anger said that they issued the passport, which was just fake. Actually, they turned the Swedish coat of arms upside down. Instead of having 2 crowns at the top and 1 at the bottom, they had 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. And they just realized, when they made a couple of thousands, they said, well, we can't change it now. They will realize we just made a fake. And they put up Swedish flags on the houses, calling them the Swedish library or the Swedish institute or the Swedish hospital. But in fact, they were just apartment houses where people lived. And then he also bluffed. During the end of the war, the soldiers rounded up people 3 and 3 on the riverbank of Denyo, and then he would shoot one of them, so the other would fall into the water and drown. And Raoul then arranged the rescue organizations that he would swim out to the water, cut loose the other 2 and rescue them. But furthermore, he called the officer in charge, pretending to be a German officer, and said, have you really authorized this operation by Eichmann? Because I heard this Eichmann is very unhappy with his procedure, and if I were you, I would double check with him. And of course, the officer in charge didn't dare to disturb Eichmann, so instead he stopped. And in this way, he really took every opportunity he had to save as many people as possible. Many times was he threatened, but nothing could stop him on his great course. During the end of the war, Per Anger asked him, why do you take all these risks? You're already a hero. You could, return to Sweden a hero. And Raoul said, to me, there's no other choice. I've taken this mission, and I could not return to Sweden without knowing I have done everything in human power to save as many people as possible. To me, there's no other choice. I think that's enormously inspiring. And it was really inspiration and dedication that made Raoul so enormously successful. Of course, he had many skills that made him suitable, but if it wasn't for his dedication, he wouldn't have made a difference as successfully as he did. And in his case, he had his role models, which were Fridtjof Nansen and Elsa Brännström. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk much about them. But one story that really illustrates the importance of inspiration occurred in 1941 when my grandmother and Raoul was invited by the British Embassy in Stockholm to see a film, a really propaganda film. It was called Pimpernel Smith.
Yes.
Some of you may have heard about it or even seen it. The title, of course, allures to Scarlet Pimpernel, who during the French Revolution went to France to save the French aristocracy. And there, Leslie Howard played a leading role, and he also played a leading role in Pimpernel Smith. But here he played a Cambridge professor who went to France to save Jews during the Second World War. And when Raoul comes out from the cinema or from the embassy, he says to my grandmother, "That is exactly what I want to do." In the same way Raoul was inspired by Elsa Brännström and Pimpernel Smith, he can now inspire us. And therefore, my family 10 years ago initiated the Raoul Wallenberg Academy for Young Leaders. The Academy offers an outstanding leadership education in the spirit of Raoul to high school students. But just to be inspired is not enough. We must, of course, act. And therefore, we are now in the process of forming the Raoul Wallenberg Difference Makers. People who, just like Raoul, want to work hands-on with the most serious problems facing us today, using innovative methods. One way to do this that I feel particularly passionate about is through social entrepreneurship. And the network will offer a platform where people can meet each other and get inspiration, but also gathering experiences from earlier projects and offer support to new ones. I think it's important not just to remember the Holocaust, but to remember that genocides and other human rights violations has happened many times after the Holocaust and still happens today. Most recently, we see human rights violations in Syria. And being in Israel, I feel compelled to mention the human rights violations on the West Bank. Today we also face new challenges. I think particularly about the climate change. What is that? Yes, so what the world desperately needs now is more people like Raoul. People who say, to me, there's no other choice, and act. No one can do everything, but we all can do something. And when a person is maltreated, it is our duty to help. Silence in the face of evil is evil. Not to speak is to speak, and not to act is to act. Raoul has shown us that one person can make a difference. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, what can I do, and in what way can I make a difference?